Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to find out how do children learn to read. We are also going to discuss the 7 effective steps you must take to teach your little one reading. If you are excited to find out what those 7 steps are and what activities must you do to teach your little one reading really fast, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let's get straight into it. Step 1 is develop the child's phonemic awareness skills. Phonemic awareness is the ability to listen for individual sounds in spoken words. For example, if I say the word cat, what sounds do we hear in the word cat? We hear k, a, t, 3 separate sounds. What sounds do we hear in the word fish? We hear f, e, sh, 3 individual sounds. So, phonemic awareness is all about training children to listen for sounds in spoken words. When children are taught how to listen for sounds in spoken words, reading and spelling will be very easy for them. For example, if the child is spelling and they're going to spell the word mat, they'll have to sound it out. They have to listen for the sounds in the word mat first before they write it down. Let's see, mat. What sounds do we hear? Oh, I hear They write it down. Then they say ah. They hear an ah in the middle, so they write it down. T. Oh, I hear t at the end, and they write that down. So how do phonemic awareness skills help children with reading? Let's use the word mat. If the child is sounding out, they'll go t. Because this child has already been trained to listen for individual sounds in words, he or she will quickly work out that this word reads mat because they hear t. When they put them together, they hear the word mat. All right? So, let's look at some of the activities you can use to teach your child phonemic awareness skills. I have 2 favorite activities for developing children's phonemic awareness skills. Activity 1 is to teach children to listen for beginning sounds in spoken words. And I prefer to use real life items when I'm teaching this skill. I say, okay, name this. The child will say, it's a cup. And I say, cup. What sound do you hear at the beginning of the word cup? The child will say, hey, I hear k. All right. Oh, what is this? It's a remote. What sound do we hear at the beginning of the word remote? The child will say, rrr. And what is this? Pen. What is the beginning sound in the word pen? The child will say, p. Another way to teach or to practice phonemic awareness skills with your child is to use picture cards. I have these cute picture cards which you can use with your child to practice phonemic awareness. These cards are multi-purpose, by the way. You can use to develop so many other skills. But for phonemic awareness, the child picks out a picture and you ask them to name the picture. They say, this is a cup. What's the beginning sound in the word cup? The child will say k. Then they pick another card. Or if you want to do the activity of listening for separate sounds in the word, you say, okay, what is this? It's a cup. What's the beginning sound? K. Middle sound? O. Ending sound? P. K. O. P. Cup. We hear 3 separate sounds. Then they choose another picture. They do the same. They go through the same process. If you want these cards, they are linked up. They are linked in my bio. They are called picture cards. Everything I show you here is going to be linked in the description box. You can choose to use my resources or you can make your own. Step 2 is teach children letter sounds. Children need to know letter sounds to start off reading. They learn that each letter of the alphabet makes a sound. They also learn that a combination of letters make particular sounds. For example, they learn that letter D makes the sound D. Letter B makes the sound B, and so on and so forth. They are supposed to learn all the letter sounds from A up to Z. When they are confident with the basic sounds, that is A to Z, then you introduce them to a combination of letters to make particular sounds. For example, children know that letter C makes the sound. Children will know that letter C makes the sound on its own, makes the sound K, and letter H on its own makes the sound H. That is basic. But as they move forward, they will learn that when C and H are together, they make the sound ch, like in chop, chips, chicken. Or when O and A are together, they make the sound O, like in bot, cot, Todd. Or when S and H are together, they make the sound sh, like in shop, fish. Alright? So, start with the basic sounds, then move them to advanced sounds. Advanced sounds is where 2 letters or 3 letters work together to make one sound. And these will help them to read, to move from reading basic words to reading advanced words like chips, chicken, fish, shop, and so on and so forth. So the question is, how do you teach children letter sounds? This is how I start off the lesson. I tell the child that today we are going to learn a new letter sound. I start by covering the symbol because I want us to first focus on our phonemic awareness skills. I include the phonemic awareness part in every letter sounds lesson. So I ask the child to name the picture. The child will say, it's a bear. I say, good job, bear. What is the beginning sound in the word bear? Phonemic awareness skills, right? The child will say, I hear B. I say, well done. So today we are thinking about B sound. Can you say B? The child will definitely say B. Then I say, can you think of any words that start with B? He or she may say ball, banana, board. Yeah. So after that, I reveal the symbol. I say, this is a letter B and it makes the sound B. Let's practice saying B sound. My turn, your turn. So I say B, the child repeats that after me. B, the child repeats that after me. And if they are ready to write, I'll also teach them how to form that letter correctly. These cards come with instructions on how to form letters properly. So we go through the strokes and I demonstrate that properly because we need to model proper letter formation from the word go to avoid any misconceptions and poor handwriting in future. Okay, so after that I hand the card to the child and ask them to walk around the house and hunt for things that start with B sound. If you want these cards, they are linked in the description box below. When teaching children letter sounds, ensure that they master these 2 important skills. 1, they need to learn the letter sound, and 2, they need to recognize which letter makes that sound. For example, if they know the sound B, they should be able to identify that this letter is the one that makes B sound. Alright, now let's get into step 3. Step 3 is teach your child how to blend. Now that our children know their letter sounds, they are ready to move on to blending. Blending is when we say individual sounds in a word and put those letter sounds together to read the word. This is how I teach blending. I prefer to use these blending cards. This is how we do it. I tell the child, I have a sound button underneath each letter. So when I press the button or when I touch the dot, you are going to make the letter sound for the letter above it, like this. N, A, P. Good job. Now we have an arrow underneath, and we are going to slide our finger along the arrow in a slow way as we say the letter sounds, like this. Nap. One more time, the slow way. Nap. Now let's slide the finger the faster way. Nap. Which one do we hear? Nap. Then we choose another card. Okay, it's your turn to sound out. Press the button. P, A, N. Blend the slow way. Pan. Faster way. Pan. Good job. Get another card. Sounding out. S, A, T. Blend the slow way. Sat. Faster way. Sat. If you don't have these cards, or if you don't want to get them, that's fine. You can write the words on the board or on a piece of paper and go through the same steps. Sounding out, blend the slow way, faster way, and then give them another word. One thing to remember when you're teaching blending, please only use those letter sounds which you have taught. All right? Make words with only the letter sounds you've taught the child. Otherwise, if you show them letter sounds they haven't learned, they won't be able to blend and read those words. Okay, moving on to step 4. Step 4 is teaching children how to segment, or what we normally call sounding out. This is the skill children need to spell. So segmenting, we say individual sounds we hear in that word. For example, if I'm going to write the word cat, I have to sound it out first. This is how I teach children how to segment in order to spell and write. So, for example, if we're going to write the word cat, step 1 is to sound out the word k, a, t. We hear 3 sounds. Now, I ask the child to write those sounds down for me. What's the beginning sound? K. They write it down. What's the middle sound? K, a. We hear a. They write it down. What's the ending sound? K, a, t. Ooh, we hear t at the end. Then they write it down. Children can use the same steps to write a sentence by sounding out and writing down the sounds they hear. Another fun activity which I use to teach children segmenting is using these cute CVC secret cards of mine. Children love this a lot. So with this activity, the child has to look at the picture and say, what picture is that? It's a moon. Moon. What's the beginning sound in the word moon? We hear so they write underneath that box. Okay, what is this? Ant. What's the beginning sound in the word ant? We hear a. Then write it down. Okay, what is this? It's a penguin. Beginning sound, p. Write it down. Okay, now what's our hidden word? Let's check. Map. We have just written the word map. So children enjoy this activity because they are excited to find out the hidden word. They are using their phonemic awareness skills to listen for beginning sounds. They are practicing letter formation. At the same time, they are practicing spelling and segmenting. If you want these cards, they are linked in my bio. They are called CVC secret cards. Or you can make your own, or you can just do it on board. You don't have to get the cards. But if you need a ready-made resource, it's right here for you. Now, let's move on to step 5. Step 5 is teaching children sight words. Sight words are those words that appear frequently in written material. So we see these words a lot when we are reading. So in order to help children to become fluent readers, they are expected to learn these words by heart so that Every time they come across them, they don't have to sound them out. They just have to say them on the fly and then spend their energy on sounding out those decodable words, but not the sight words. Okay, some of the sight words are phonetic, you can sound them out, and some of them are tricky. For example, words like the, we can't sound it out because when we sound it out, it won't make sense. T and H make the sound V. E makes the sound A. When we sound out, we shall hear they, but we say the, we say the. So the child is expected to just learn these words by heart. You can Google the 100 sight words which children are supposed to learn, and what you can do is to pick about 3 words a week or 5 words. This depends on how fast your child is learning or how much time you've got on you. So Google the list, the 100 sight words to learn in 1st grade and 2nd grade. Choose the words you are going to learn per week, and then with time they will learn all the words. Okay, you need to practice every day until when they become confident at these words. All right, let's move on to step 6. Step 6 is teaching children reading fluency. Reading fluency is when a child is able to read at a good pace. They are not too fast and not too slow. They read with a natural voice. They understand what they're reading and they read with expression. This is how I teach children reading fluency. I prefer to use these fluency reading passages of mine. Or you can use a picture book or the end book they have at home, which they are able to read. Okay? So, with expression, I make sure that I teach children how to read with punctuation. Expression involves punctuation. Children need to understand what to do when they come across a given punctuation mark. For example, when we see a full stop, we stop. That means that is the end of that sentence. So if a child is reading and they get where the full stop is, they need to stop and take a breath. So that's how I train them when it regarding a full stop. I need to hear that in their voice, okay? Or we need to hear that in their voice, and it's trainable. They can learn that with practice. Where we see a comma, we pause. We are not yet done, but we take a little pause. A comma is used to separate words within a sentence. So if somebody is reading with punctuation, we can hear that in their voice. Okay, that's how I teach them to. I show them how to do that. I model for them. And where we see speech marks, it means a character is talking. So the reader has to switch their voice to suit that character that is talking. For example, if it's a monster talking, what kind of voice do you think a monster uses or can use? Is it a loud voice? Is it a husky voice? Is it a soft voice? Okay, so the child will decide the kind of voice for that character and then use it in their reading. All that makes the reading interesting, sound natural, and for whoever is listening to you, they begin to enjoy. People enjoy listening to them read. Okay. And where we see a question mark, what we do, we raise our voice at the end to make it sound like it's a question. Okay? You model for them. Fluency, you have to model every time. Whatever you teach them, model for them. What happens when we see exclamation mark? It means that is a surprise. It is surprising. It is shocking. We need to add emotion in our voice. Either we shout or we scream, depending on what we are reading. So the best way to teach fluency is to get a passage or a book that you know a child is able to read, and have them practice the story, read the story about 3 times. When they know the words, they can easily add in all these fluency tips. And the second way is model for them. Whenever you're reading a story to them, do all those things you're teaching them. Change voices, pause, take a breath, sound naturally, read at a good pace. If you need these passages, reading fluency passages, they're linked down in the description box. Or use the stories you already have at home. Step 7, and that is the last one, and it's the ultimate goal, is reading comprehension. So, reading or comprehension is the ability to attach meaning to what we are reading, or to derive or pick meaning from what is being read. So why are we learning to read in the first place? Isn't it to find out more information on our own? We can read for leisure, we can read for research, we can read for finding information. We need to make meaning. We need to attach meaning from what we are reading, and children should be trained to do that from the word go. Otherwise, if they don't learn how to comprehend, they won't be able to transfer their reading skills into other learning areas. For example, to do a word problem, one has to read and understand the word problem in math in order to work it out. If you have a science experiment to do, you need to be able to read the steps and understand them in order to carry out that science experiment effectively. Or if you're learning about the past, you need to be able to read and understand to find out what happened in the past and compare it with the present. Okay, so reading cuts across, and children must be taught how to comprehend. So again, using there are 3 ways. There are so many ways you can teach reading comprehension. Is first, you can talk about the book. You can ask the child to discuss the pictures in the storybook. You can ask them questions about a story that is being read. Just have a discussion about the book. That will inform you if they are understanding what is being read. If you're using these fluency passages, they can read the story for 3 times and then answer questions about the story. If they're able to answer the questions, that means they understood it. Or another fun way for the little ones, they can draw a picture. They can illustrate a picture to match with the story being read. Thank you for staying with me up to this point. I hope now you have a clear picture on how children learn reading, and you know what activities you can use to support them learn to read or get better at reading. Before we wrap up, let's recap the 7 steps. Step 1, develop their phonemic awareness skills. There is a resource for you in case you need it. Step 2, teach them letter sounds. The letter sound cards are there for you if you need them. Step 3, teach them how to blend letter sounds to read. There's a resource for you in case you need it. Step 4, teach children how to segment so that they can write and spell independently. The resource is there for you. Step 5, teach them sight words. Step 6, teach them reading fluency. These are reading fluency passages you can use if you don't have storybooks at home or you need decodable stories. And then step 7, teach them reading comprehension. These fluency passages can still help with that. Okay, feel free to comment below if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Bye!